It is now my honor to introduce the new leader of the BC Green Party, Sonia Furstenau. Yay!
I will start by acknowledging and thanking the Lekwungen people, also known as the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations, for allowing us to do this work on their beautiful lands. As Cowichan Intercultural Society Executive Director Lynn Weaver said at a public health meeting last week, colonialism is not a historical event. It is still happening today. I must start by thanking my campaign co-managers, Christina Winter and Jillian Oliver. I have been in awe of you since the very first time we met in the midst of the 2017 election campaign. The depth of your intelligence and your capacity to communicate to people in ways that they can hear and understand is phenomenal. That you have been doing this for the last 2 months while also tending to your beautiful new baby is a testament to your capacity and to the capacity of women. Christina, you have emerged as the true leader that you have always been and brought together an incredible team of volunteers and guided them through months and months of commitment and dedication. You both have my deepest gratitude and admiration. To the volunteers who have spent hours and hours making 5,397 phone calls over the past 13 days, it is because of volunteers like Pat Crowther, Aaron Podolsky, Drew Dangerfield, and Jocelyn Gifford, and so many others who have made these calls to convince and remind people to vote for me that I am standing here today. Thank you to Kate O'Connor, who joined the campaign recently, having just graduated from high school, and who has been instrumental in organizing the phone callers. To the donors, please know that we received your donations with deep gratitude. This has not been an ideal time to ask people for money, and yet it is a critical time in provincial politics to ensure that the BC Greens continue to influence better outcomes for this province. To Cam and Kim and their teams, I extend my congratulations on running solid campaigns to the very end. This leadership campaign has invigorated our party, and with new ideas and supporters, I am excited to grow the party and keep bringing change to British Columbia. To the BC Green Party staff, thank you for working tirelessly for over a year in preparing for and executing our first leadership race. There will be lessons learned and stories to share over the weeks and months to come, and I look forward to working with you all. To Adam, I am so excited to continue our work together in the BC Legislature. You and I make a great team, and together we are going to build this party with a slate of thoughtful and hardworking BC Green candidates to run and win in the next election, whenever it is called. And I love you. HK. To the BC Green Caucus staff, Sarah, Evan, Claire, you're here. I'm so excited to continue our work together. You are a small and unbelievably mighty team. And you have navigated our confidence and supply agreement with integrity, consideration, and grace. I look forward to continuing our great work together. To my husband, Blaise Salmon, thank you. You fed me when I was too busy to eat. You hugged me when that was what I needed most. I could not have done any of this without your love and support. To my children, Eleanor, Peter, Nicholas, Brennan, and Marita, you 5 are the lights of my life, and I do this to bring you hope for the future. To the entire BC Green Party membership and to our 2,831 new supporters since February, Thank you for participating in the BC Green Party's first leadership election. Over the past 9 months, I've had a chance to connect with many of you to talk about the future of our province. I have been so inspired by the conversations that I've had with members and supporters in every corner of this province. This campaign has reminded me what is so special about the BC Greens, and I'm excited about the future we are going to build together. When I was trying to decide whether I would run for leader, I called the person who has known me longest and maybe knows me best, my brother Mark Furstenau. Mark is a professor at Carleton University, and he is the wisest and most thoughtful person that I know. What Mark said to me that day was that I am a symbol of something different in politics, of hope for what's possible, particularly for young women. That is not a small responsibility, nor one that I take lightly, especially as I was once a young woman being told that I could do anything, that women were equal to men, but only seeing men in leadership roles. Being a female leader in this country seems nearly unachievable. Today, there are few women in provincial leadership roles across Canada. Northwest Territories Premier Carolyn Cochrane is the only female on the panel of the country's 14 First Ministers. There is a different standard for those who have been historically excluded from government. Since being elected, I have been told that I'm overprepared, that my list of accomplishments as MLA is not believable, that I've been given too much responsibility, and once I was asked if I missed being a housewife. It's disheartening, but it strengthens my belief that to achieve lasting outcomes in good ways, we must increase diversity in who we elect, and we must find ways to work across party lines and across jurisdictions. The BC Greens put principle ahead of politics to collaborate with the other parties, even though we don't agree with them on everything. I have come to cherish the relationships I have built with individuals in the other two parties, like Katrina Chen in our work on childcare and early childhood education, and Mary Polak in our work as House leaders. Sadly, this is not a common practice in the BC legislature. The political structures we have in place reinforce hyper-partisanship, perpetuating the myth that this is just how politics is done. These past few weeks, this kind of politics has reared its head again as the specter of a completely unnecessary, irresponsible early election in the middle of a pandemic is being contemplated simply because it might benefit one party's political fortunes. To John Horgan, I say, you have a responsibility to govern, not play politics. We have two overlapping health emergencies. We have just spent the last week gasping for our breath because of climate fires. Our kids are navigating an entirely new way of being in school, and COVID-19 cases are rising. This is not the time to dissolve government, to leave a province leaderless for over a month in hopes of securing more power for yourself. This is a time when we need our ministers of health and education to be working alongside our public health officer to do all they can to protect the health and well-being of the people of British Columbia. Do not succumb to the old ways of doing politics in this new and altered world. Instead, rise above partisanship and put the people you serve ahead of your party's self-interest. In these last 3 years, the BC Greens have proven that we can do politics differently, and we have tremendous success doing it. Working with the exceptional staff in the BC Green Caucus and my caring and attentive constituency team, we have been able to offer an alternative to the divisive politics in this province. This approach has yielded results. Here are some examples. We've banned big money, reformed the lobbying industry, and made crucial changes to environmental protection and oversight laws. We've championed professional reliance reform including new legislation to provide better oversight and evidence-based decision-making in the approval of development projects. We've helped to successfully advocate for the government to provide pre-exposure prophylactics to people at high risk of contracting HIV, and I was the first MLA to call for that change. We held the government to account on the lack of evidence surrounding the costs and safety of fracking natural gas. We support families struggling with the child welfare system and have successfully advocated for changes to that system at a provincial level. We've worked collaboratively with government to bring in childcare and early childhood education programs and the Clean BC Climate and Economic Plan. And as MLA for Cowichan, I have worked with my community to ensure that we will have a new hospital, a new high school, a hospice, and now we have an engineering study underway for a new weir to better protect the Cowichan River. And we're just getting started. British Columbia is an incredible place full of people with exciting ideas and a deep love for the place they call home. When we focus on coming together around the future that we want, we can achieve great things. In 2017, my community of Shawnigan Lake won its years-long fight to revoke a provincial government issue permit for a contaminated soil landfill in our drinking watershed. That experience taught me that just because something is unprecedented, it is not impossible. When we elect a government that thinks creatively, that isn't beholden to special interests, and that focuses on data and evidence, I know we can achieve all we want for our communities. We can invest in a just, green recovery by creating the conditions for an innovative economy through services like childcare and education and infrastructure like transit and affordable housing. Because the evidence shows that those investments are what enable people to take risks and start new businesses. We can recognize that happy, healthy people are the foundation of a healthy economy and that the nature of work is changing, and we can examine how we can better support work-life balance and more livable communities. We can invest in our local resilience where all people are safe, secure, and healthy in times of crisis and in times of peace by improving food security, investing in emergency preparedness, directly sharing resources with the communities that are produced in, and ensuring every community has access to fundamental necessities of life, like clean drinking water. We can acknowledge that outdated ways of thinking are perpetuating the cycles of inequality and suffering and follow the evidence that experts say will save lives, like decriminalizing possession and providing a safe supply of drugs and by funding mental health counseling through MSP. The BC Green Party sees the world and reality as it is today, with all of the very real and urgent challenges in front of us. We have a vision for what is possible tomorrow and a plan for how to get there. To accomplish this, we need our elected officials to hold themselves to the highest standards in their actions and their work ethic, in public and privately. We need to create a political environment that is safe and accessible for people of all kinds, Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQ2S+, young and old. Only then will government and the outcomes we achieve together represent all of us. There was a moment in the Shawnigan fight to protect our drinking water one evening in the middle of winter, after we'd been standing on the roads to stop the hauling trucks morning, after going to so many court hearings, after years of writing letters, holding fundraisers, talking to the media, talking to anybody who would listen. There was one evening sitting in my house with Laura Colpitts, who'd been so incredible at capturing what we were going through with her gorgeous photographs. There was one evening when I felt like I didn't have the strength to keep going. I could not understand how one community could do so much to show in every way that there never should have been a permit granted for a contaminated landfill at the headwaters of our drinking watershed, and that the government still did nothing. I sat with that despair that evening. I really felt it. And then I got up the next day and I kept going. And 1 year later, that permit was canceled. We won. So many of us today are wrestling with that despair, and this has been the year that just won't stop testing our resolve, a virus that has altered nearly every aspect of our lives. The air that has been choking us for the last several days, reminding us that climate change and its devastating consequences are very much here. The clarion call to addressing systemic racism in our institutions and our societies, while we hear the accounts of Black and Indigenous peoples, the people of color who experience racism and discrimination in their neighborhoods, their communities, and across the province. The growing frustration we feel as we see that billionaires are getting wealthier in 2020, while families and individuals struggle more and more to make ends meet. More than ever, we need to find the strength to get up and work for the world that we know is possible. For me, that strength comes from being in service to others, being in service to something greater than myself. To meet the challenges of our time, we need political discourse that focuses on evidence and solutions. We need politicians who focus on outcomes for people rather than political games. As leader of the BC Greens, I promise to be a champion for this kind of politics. I'm ready to model this kind of leadership in the BC legislature and to prepare us for the next election, so we will elect more MLAs, and they will join Adam and me there. As leader, I will serve all of you in the best way that I know how, with integrity, audacity, persistence, and love. Thank you.